abuse offences committed against 4 victims between 2006 and 2012.
Well, since the start of the operation, the National Crime Agency identified more than 1,000 survivors and arrested over 200 people. But now they've said they've done all they realistically can. Yet they insisted they aren't walking away from ongoing investigations, and any new allegations will be handled instead by South Yorkshire Police.
Well, following developments closely is our GB News reporter Charlie Peters. What's the significance of this story? What is actually going to happen then with these cases and with these investigations?
Well, the National Crime Agency say they've done all they can when it comes to identifying victims from the period that Operation Stovewood has operated on, which is 1997 to 2013. This operation was launched after the Alexis J report in 2014 found that some 1,400 girls and boys had been abused in the town from 1997 to 2013. So Stovewood was launched by the National Crime Agency, that central, almost kind of Britain's FBI, that force to get a grip of the situation after the South Yorkshire Police Force had been reported to have endured so many failures and insufficiently investigated the situation over that period, leading to what many have described as the worst child abuse scandal in modern British history. Now, the NCA last night said that their investigations will continue in terms of ongoing cases until 2027. That's when they anticipate that will wrap up. But they will not launch any new investigations from January 2024. And that is because they feel as though they have exhausted all potential avenues of identifying new victims from that period. But the big controversy from this decision is that many people in Rotherham, whom I've been speaking to over the last day since this news broke, are a little bit nervous about what this might mean for those investigations and the situation in the town. South Yorkshire Police, as I said, did not come out of that scandal with its reputation enhanced. The Independent Office for Police Conduct launched a review of the force after the scandal broke in 2014. It was called Operation Linden. It was the second longest investigation by the IOPC, second only to the Hillsborough review, and it assessed hundreds of allegations of misconduct. Several of them were upheld, but nobody was fired. Many survivors from the town that I've spoken to, campaigners, whistleblowers, and other people affected by this situation, they all say as though they feel that no true accountability has been delivered in Rotherham, particularly for the police. And so there are some nerves coming out of South Yorkshire this morning that this police force, is it adequately prepared to take on that responsibility? Have they really learned those lessons from the 90s all the way up to 2013? And will this new force have the same approach that the NCA have? Many victims and campaigners feel as though the NCA were the gold standard and they came in and made a real difference. We've just heard, hundreds of arrests, dozens of convictions. We do know that many investigations are ongoing and expected to stretch into 2027.
And clearly, great consternation over what might be accurately described as a downgrading of the significance of these investigations, going from the NCA to this police force that has had many questions asked of it. Charlie, what do we know about any reforms that have taken place within this police force? You say that no one has lost their jobs from this police force, despite some clear failings that have been uncovered over the last decade. What's changed within it?
When we spoke to South Yorkshire Police earlier this year for our own investigation into the nationwide grooming gang scandal, they did give a lengthy statement talking about how lessons had been learned and there were new strategies in place for dealing with child sexual exploitation, which had been positively reviewed by nationwide watchdogs. But this comes at a time as South Yorkshire is actually experiencing an increase in reported CSE situations. Now, the force in South Yorkshire has said that this is actually a consequence of better reporting methods and a more efficient policing system. But it is clearly a very tense time in South Yorkshire across all of the areas there, not just Rotherham, when it comes to this kind of abuse. With regards to the NCA involvement, though, we have seen back in April, then Home Secretary Suella Braverman launching an NCA-led task force across the country for dealing with grooming gangs, a key campaign from GB News on the back of our documentary on the grooming gang scandal, which is a big achievement for the channel at the time. So will the NCA be opening new investigations in that task force across the country? Or is this part of a broader winding down of the operations into that kind of child abuse? Well, those questions still need to be answered, but certainly some nerves in Rotherham by both victims and campaigners about what this might mean for those investigations.
Thank you very much, Charlie Peters, our news reporter.